DeFi by Design, where we talk all things blockchain and cryptocurrency while striving to educate, empower, and enrich.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the DeFi by Design podcast. We are here with Marc from Aave. Marc has been working at Aave for a bit and is super educated with everything DeFi, and we are really excited for this one. I'm here with co-host Rob as well. Rob?
Hey guys, how's it going? Marc, really excited to have you on. I think we're just continually stepping up the talent on this podcast. So I'm really excited. Aave has a lot of great things in the works, and we got some really interesting questions. So I'm ready to learn and talk some DeFi today.
Super cool to be here, and let's dive into it.
Yeah, of course. Marc, real quick, could you give the listeners like a 60-second background into who you are, kind of what you do, how you got into all this stuff, real quick?
So basically, my involvement with crypto started in 2013 with Bitcoin. So basically, that was like the first bubble of Bitcoin that attracted a lot of audience, and I was part of that wave. And basically, my interests were renewed and increased exponentially in 2015 when I discovered Ethereum with a friend, and I liked it so much that I created, as you can hear it, I'm French, with a few friends, the Ethereum France community. We did meetups, we organized the 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃, which is one of the biggest Ethereum conference. The last one was in March. I joined Consensus in 2016. I joined a regulated French broker called 𝗃𝗍𝗃𝗃 after that, and I'm super happy to have joined Aave at the end of 2019 in order to prepare the launch of the Aave protocol, which is my activity right now as the integration lead. And basically my job is to make third-party developer life easier in the process of their integration of the Aave feature into their dApps.
That's awesome. It's really cool that you got involved in Ethereum and in the France community, and you were part of this worldwide network, but in your local community, and you were working on it together. That's actually how I met Andrew. We attended school at UF, University of Florida, and we're working on the 𝗿𝗓𝗏 blockchain community here. So it was an on-campus organization, and it brought a lot of interesting and like-minded people together. So how did you get involved in Ethereum France? What was it like working in that local community?
We basically created the community. So we are in France a very active crypto and blockchain community since years. The biggest one is named 𝗵𝗏𝗃𝗃, which is like Crypto France. And basically, we wanted to have something dedicated to Ethereum, because one of the great parts of Ethereum is just you can do a lot more things than just buy some Ether and wait for a number go up. You actually can dev some smart contracts, create your own dApps, and do a wide range of things. And basically, when you interested in a brand new technology, everybody is terrible at it. Like, even if you are a good developer, nobody knows shit about Solidity in 2015. There were no experts. There were everything to learn at this point. So it was a lot of demand within the social media, especially Reddit at the time. And basically, Ethereum France started on Reddit. And to say, okay, what can we do with this thing? It's super interesting, but I don't understand anything. So let's suffer together and be better together. And that's probably one of the reasons there's so many French developers within the Ethereum ecosystem, because we are a huge crowd and a very active community in France since years. So, and we just push it further and try to spread knowledge and teamwork on this. And that's why I think the French are very present in the DeFi sphere.
Yeah, I mean, the overall involvement of a global community is so cool in the entire space. Obviously, you're in France, we're in the States right now. There's going to be folks who are listening from Hong Kong to Singapore to Canada. That's super interesting. And the fact that we can bring all these users into a protocol like Aave or, any other of these DeFi protocols and allow them to all interact on one platform effectively. Now, with that comes a whole lot of challenges and risks and problems and day-to-day keep up. So in your day-to-day with Aave, kind of what does that look like with the team? How does the team work together? How is the community? What is your day-to-day and the Aave team? What does that look like on a weekly and a monthly, yearly basis?
So basically, one of the things I want to highlight is that we are actually decentralized, even as a team. So our protocol is obviously decentralized, but our team is as well. With Aave, we have two headquarters, the operational one in London and the technical one in Switzerland. But I will say that more than half the team is never at the office. I never stepped foot at any of the Aave office, or at least the London one, since I work at Aave and I only worked remotely, and we have people all around the world. And basically, our Aave work is that we are all very specialized, and we have our core activity, and we have a lot of independence to that. So we have direction, we have a strategy, but basically the integration team is 3 members, and we do 90% of the job independently. And that's super interesting, the amount of creativity and independence you can express when your organization just said, well, you have these skills, use those skills to do good stuff. And that's it. And so my day-to-day activity in the integration team is a lot of code, like a lot of time with potential partner for integration. I basically do that all day because my job is to make the integration process as easy as possible. So if you have a
You're doing a good job, Marc. You're doing a good job, Marc. I'll tell you that. You're doing
Thank
great.
you for that. Well, we had more than 100 integration in 6 months. So yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But not at the level of Chen-Link. Like Chen-Link, they are matching. I don't know what is their integration team. Maybe they are 20 or they are incredible. They have like maybe 3 to 5 integration per day.
Yeah. So as you explained, like the Aave team is decentralized, right? You guys are all remote. There's 2 places, 2 offices, but has that kind of contributed to the transition from Lend to Aave, or what was that process from, taking the team in this decentralized way, obviously what Aave is now, and how does the Lend transition to Aave kind of come in there? For those of you who aren't, or who are completely new, Lend is the token that was traded for the past 2-3 years now, and is now shifted to Aave. Obviously, you joined just in the last 12 months or so, but talk to us about like the decentralization and kind of how that choice was made to switch that whole idea and the concept to Aave from Lend.
So basically, our whole strategy and everything we do at Aave is just taking step towards more decentralization. So we started 3 years ago in 2017, and the product was released early 2018 with Lend, which was peer-to-peer lending. So completely decentralized on the Ethereum blockchain, but it's actually order matching between a liquidity provider and a borrower. So not super efficient compared to the lending pool architecture, for example, that we have right now on Aave, but it's a first step. Then we released a completely decentralized protocol based on the lending pool. That's what happened at the beginning of the year. And what will happen very, very soon, and basically this month, is that we're going to do the migration of the Lend asset into the Aave asset, and the Aave asset will be the center of gravity of the Aave ecosystem. It will be an asset you can stake, to use a word that people are used to, with what we call the safety mining. So you will be able to stake your Aave asset into what we call the safety module, and basically you will earn almost all protocol fees with the responsibility that if there's a protocol failure, you will maybe have part of your stake slashed. And that's the first part. So it's an asset that will allow you to collect almost all protocol fees, and the other part is the actual voting. And
wait, pause real quick, Marc. So you're saying that Aave holders will earn a cash flow or a dividend effectively from the protocol just for holding the coin?
From staking the coin.
From staking, right. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So it's an actual work.
Great.
Because you take a risk. Well, it's a
right.
It's a risk that is very low because we audit every line of code we push into production, and safety has always be our priority, but there's still a risk. There's no zero risk. And basically, if you stake, you will collect all the protocol fees and
Right.
almost all the protocol fee. We will talk about that later. And as
And
well,
then on the governance side.
on the governance side, you are full control of the Aave protocol. If you want an asset listed, you vote for it. If you want an asset with more LTV, more collateral factor, you vote for it. If you don't want a feature that we propose, you vote for it. And basically, you are in full control. And right now, there's some admin key into the protocol. So we never had the possibility to take user fund or interfere with a user position, because it doesn't make sense to have this kind of power. But we add the power to, for example, pause a reserve or list a new asset. And basically what will happen with the migration and the beginning of the governance is that we're going to burn the actual admin keys, and the whole protocol will be in control of the Aave holder. So when you have Aave, you have access of all the earning, everything that is earned by the protocol, and you are in full control of the protocol. And I think it's one step further into decentralization. Before that, we have decentralization in terms of the financial part, in terms of the user funds, and now we will have decentralization in terms of governance of the actual protocol.
So Marc, that is really exciting, because you're talking about increasing decentralization. Part of that is bringing out proof of stake. And that's pretty much what Ethereum has been working on for the last 5 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you guys are rolling it out at a pace that is beating Ethereum. So, can you talk a little bit about, like, maybe what you've learned from Ethereum and you're taking away from other DeFi projects, and what you guys are implementing and plan to implement in the future to, maybe solve the problems that Ethereum and the rest of the community are facing?
Well, to be fair with the Ethereum Foundation, it's much easier to do for us because we don't have to under the consensus of the world distributed ledger. Like Ethereum, they basically need to solve the proof of stake issue. And for us, we call that staking, we call that, we use this kind of word because in the general audience, it's something that everybody integrated, but at the end of the day, it's a safety mining process. We don't mine block, we don't participate to the consensus or of the blockchain. And I think that's one of the most interesting part of Ethereum. Ethereum allow you to build on top of the settlement layer, on top of the actual blockchain. Like, it's so interesting, and it allows you to focus on your core project. And that part can be generalized more, and we can focus on that in the fact that we don't have to handle, for example, the mining with Aave because we are built on Ethereum, but also we can be focused on our actual core feature. We don't have to handle the Oracle system because we use and we are powered by Chainlink that provide the price feed for the market. So we don't have to reinvent the price Oracle, which is a lot of work and very costly and very complex to do. We don't have to reinvent the stablecoin trading because you have Curve that is the best of the world to do that. So basically, if you want to swap a tokens, you just do it on Curve and it will work and be super efficient. We don't have to reinvent yield farming because there's YSwap. And all those protocols just work together, and it's only possible because we are decentralized and because we are on Ethereum. And that network effect makes me a firm believer into Ethereum and make me really do believe that it's very hard to be an Ethereum killer in 2020. Maybe they had a chance in 2017 or 18, but it's too late, guys.
Yeah. It's so cool now that all these projects are working together and they're like building layers on top of each other.
Yeah. For example, if Aave will be in on Polkadot tomorrow, we will probably only retain 5% of our TVL and our users at best, because Aave is not that important. What is important is Aave with Curve, Aave with Balancer, Aave with Uniswap, Aave with 1inch, and so on and so on, Aave with Chainlink. And if we decide to go to an Ethereum killer chain, well, you lose all that with just a dumb lending pool protocol, which is cool. but it's even better with all those synergies.
Yeah. So you don't see scaling as an issue, is what it sounds like with Ethereum.
No, because at the end of the day, what will happen on Ethereum already happened. It's like a first world problem for blockchain, having too much activity on the settlement layer. And basically, it already happened since years on Bitcoin. And basically, Bitcoin solved that issue because they say, well, we are a storage of value. That's the settlement layer. If you want to transfer $1 million, do it on Bitcoin layer 1. You will pay $1 for that, and nobody cares because you are actually transferring $1 million. If you want to pay for your coffee, just use Lightning Network. Just use Liquid. And that's perfectly integrated into the Bitcoin community. They were, when a blockchain reached maturity, obviously the blocks are full, but the solution is not to have bigger block like they tried to do with Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin SB. The solution is just to understand that the layer 1 is the settlement layer for the high value transfer, and all the other stuff should happen on layer 2. And basically what will happen this year with Aave is that we have a multi-market approach. So you have the Aave main market, you have the Uniswap market, and you will have a lot of new markets that will happen this year. And a few of them will be actually on layer 2. So if you, for example, if you have $100, let's say 100 DAI, it's not interesting to use Aave because the gas you will pay to actually deposit into Aave will represent for you probably 3 to 6 months of interest. So it doesn't make sense. If you have $10,000, you don't care because it will represent at best 1 week, worst case scenario, 1 week interest. And basically, if you have $100, just deposit on layer 2. And you will pay very small fees and everybody wins that way. And as we have the multi-market approach, you can pick the solution that is best for you, and we keep this kind of composability that is so important into DeFi, because if someone wants to build, and it's completely random examples, this is not announcement, but if we want to build on Solana and FTX that is really close to that solution, have some product, we can have some synergy with them on this. But if another project wants to move into Polkadot, for example, if we talk about cross-chain synergy, well, they will be able to access a Aave market there. Not the same Aave market, but still an Aave market, and we will make sure that the liquidity and you will access yield opportunities on all of them. So yes, scalability is not an issue. So this is probably the worst time of the history of Ethereum in terms of gas, but this is history. Like in 6 months, we will laugh about it.
Yeah, it's certainly been a thing on the Ethereans' minds of how can we handle this gas. And, as you said, like the whales and whatnot, they don't really matter. But for the common user, they do matter. And I think that those users will be coming very soon into crypto again, into DeFi, right? In the last, big hype cycle, we saw all these exchanges just getting flooded and there was a lack of new accounts. There was people who were selling accounts on Bittrex for like $1,000 just to have an account. It's absolutely insane. So right now, it kind of feels like we're like on the rocket ship that's headed towards a massive influx of users. So at Aave and with Ethereum in general, what are you guys doing to prepare for this influx of users? Is there anything that you guys have to do, or are you ready? What's your take on the influx of new users for the Aave protocol itself, and how does that account for the Ethereum scaling too?
So I cannot disclose everything that we are preparing, but it will be announced very soon. I warned you about that.
Uh-oh, guys. You heard that. Big announcement coming soon.
But basically, the gas cost of using Aave will be half in most situations, and even lower than that. So there's going to be a lot of gas optimization that is incoming into Aave, and also the layer 2 solution. So basically, you will have access to Aave market with almost no or very limited transaction fee. It will not be the layer 1 market, but it will be a market that will work exactly the same way than Aave that you know right now. And I think it makes sense to have a market for user with small amounts. For example, Aave is very, very popular in Argentina. Like they love 𝗿𝗏 and they use 𝗿𝗏 a lot. And for example, right now it's very hard for them to use Aave because obviously of the transaction fee. And we did a campaign for 6 weeks with Argent, and we were actually doing a subsidy of the gas. And we cannot announce everything, but there's going to be meta transaction and really nodes that will make things easier in terms of user experience. It's not because it's layer 2, it's not because it's optimistic rollups and all this very technical stuff that it has to be complex for the user. For example, and I go back to Bitcoin because it's a more mature ecosystem. If you want to use Lightning Network right now on Bitcoin, you just download Felix Wallet into your phone. You don't have to know what a channel is. You don't have to know what is a Lightning Network invoice is. You just scan a QR code and that's it. They do everything for you. And you can even send Bitcoin from layer 1 directly to your Phoenix wallet, and they will open the channel for you on your side. So your user experience is completely seamless. And don't you believe that with so great experience such as Argent, it will not be exactly the same in a few weeks or months inside Ethereum?
Yeah, I mean, Argent is taking control of that DeFi wallet as like the DeFi wallet. However, I just saw that I believe it was called 𝗲𝗏. They just released, they have no gas fees on their app, but there's some sort of trading fee or something like that. So it's kind of just like a competition now. And then you got 1inch has these 𝗏 tokens or whatever they are. So I've seen a lot of answers to that question, as you were saying, is trying to optimize the gas fees, because that's going to be the biggest thing is the gas fees for, a noob who wants to come in with, and I say noob with quotes, with $200 or $100, and they don't want to pay $9 just to do a simple transaction. That's just not going to work. Rob, do you have anything on the gas fees or anything about the scalability that we didn't mention?
Yeah, I was going to ask Mark, like for that noob or that person that's just coming in, if they are mildly concerned about gas fees, maybe they have, a substantial stack, but they don't want to get caught in any situation where they're paying enormous fees. Where do they start? There are some options with feeless trading, but are those more complex? What would you say to the person that's entering the market and they're going to shift some capital allocation over to crypto and into DeFi? Where do they begin?
I think one of the topics we didn't talk yet about is the 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗏 synergies. And I think that will be basically the rocket propellant of DeFi. We often very blindly try to oppose DeFi and CeFi, like saying DeFi is good, the future of finance, and CeFi is bad because it's centralized custodian and whatever. And of course, I do prefer on the personal level DeFi, but it's easy to say for me because I have more than 5 years experience into Ethereum. Using a ledger is completely natural. I can write code, I can use MetaMask and whatnot. And not everybody is like that, and not everybody will be like that. And basically, what we are not careful enough to consider is that there's more and more centralized exchange, centralized service that are more than happy to provide to their user DeFi services. And the good part of being a centralized exchange and being a custodian is that you can actually batch. And for example, let's say, and just an example, Kraken. You have an account of Kraken and you know how to use a centralized exchange because that's the amount of technicality you are used as a DeFi, as a blockchain user or whatever, a crypto user. And you will have a earn button tapped directly into the website. And basically they can batch. If you have $100, they can make you wait that maybe 100K is collected from all the users that want to deposit and just do one transaction on the behalf of the user directly into Aave. And basically, because the gas price doesn't scale with the volume. So if you deposit $100, you will pay $6 of gas fee. If you deposit $10 million, you will pay $6. That's how it works. So, but if you batch 1,000 users of $100, the fee for them is almost nothing, and as an exchange, you can offer that as a service. And that's something people don't consider, but I think probably the next year, until Ethereum 2.0, or until the fact that layer 2 takes some steam and takes some traction, there will be more and more and more DeFi CeFi synergies, and the future, a lot of the newcomers into DeFi will just use the exchange they are and the partner they are used to use today. And I'm fine with that. It's like the user experience you have into CeFi with the safety and the yield you can earn into DeFi. And because I'm fine with that, with the fact that as a user, you have a choice. If you want to do your homework and don't rely on the third party that you want to trust, well, at any given time, you can withdraw your fund from the exchange and deposit directly into Aave. And having the choice make the world difference.
Does that come with any security risk or privacy compromise when you connect your address to, an email or any personal identifying information? Is that going to be with you forever? Because, you can change addresses. Ideally, that would cancel out that private information. But then you would track the coins, right? So, you can take steps away from, getting a security risk or privacy. But does connecting to a CeFi source at any point, would that just ruin your DeFi experience? Or is there some connectiveness that we could have there?
At the end of the day, if you want pure decentralized permissionless experience, you have to do the homework to learn to interact with decentralized platform. That means having a MetaMask, for example, into your browser wallet, having a ledger, and do yourself the transaction. Obviously, there's always some trade-off. So if you use a centralized service and that centralized service do 𝗬𝗫𝗃, they will have your information. That being said, if they actually batch, and I think they will do that because it only makes sense from the economic part, because you can do economies of scales, the deposit, what will appear on-chain is not your address, it's just the smart contract that collects the user from that exchange or that service provider that deposit into Aave. So your privacy will be a bridge with the centralized service, not on-chain, but it's a privacy.
Right. So if you're able to keep it all separate, and at what point is privacy kind of a meme as well, right? Because at what point are we voluntarily giving all of our data up to big tech every second of the day? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can try, but at what point is true privacy, unless you're going to go completely off the web, buy a bunch of Monero and move to a private island, then at what point is it a real meme? But that's something that is definitely to be concerned about, though, for the DeFi users who do want that privacy.
Yes, and it's very interesting, the difference in culture between Bitcoin and Ethereum on that topic. Like, for example, on Bitcoin, reusing twice the same address is very, very much frowned upon. For example, you have mixing service like Wasabi and Whirlpool from Samurai, all this kind of service, and you are very much encouraged to use them. On Ethereum, everybody put their ENS address like _markzeller.it on Twitter.
In their Twitter bio. You can see how much money they have in their wallet.
Exactly. If you want to know how much I make, my salary, because I'm paid in 𝗿𝗏. Yeah. If you want to know my salary, just type _markzeller.it on Etherscan and you will see how much I make.
But what kind of risk does that impose? If I pull up somebody's page who's got 100,000, 500,000, 1 million on his ETH address, A, he might not be the smartest cookie to have all of his money in one address, but B, at what point are we trying to keep this open finance world also kind of private? Because it's an interesting up and down and paradox of what we want in an open finance world. And yeah, I think that concept of the .eth address is real funny. Robbie, have you got one of those yet?
No. What? Tell me about it. What's .eth address?
Yeah. All right, so I'll do the layman's version, and then I think Mark cleared up.
Yeah. So basically, on the internet, you have the DNS, which is the domain name service. So basically, when you type the twitter.com, At the end of the day, the server is just resolving that address to IP address and directly communicate with your browser. And it's basically the same thing happening on Ethereum, because ENS stands for Ethereum Name Service. And instead of 0x and 42 hexadecimal character, you will get, for example, Marc Zeller.it, and it's human readable stuff. It's just for the user experience. It's definitely
a meme.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
we can all create one.
Yeah, we definitely could. Yeah, so, hey, Marc, so we have about, I don't know, maybe five minutes left before we wrap it up. We definitely want to do like a little rapid fire round at the end, but a few more questions for you that I think you could definitely attend to here. So there's a whole bunch of ideas right now on to how to best create a protocol that is decentralized, what kind of economics of a token, of the protocol, of the founders, of the pre-mine, of the launch, of using a centralized exchange, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so many things, right? So if you were to just create your own protocol, so step away from everything and go into Marc's world and create Marc protocol, right? What are some of the ideas or fundamental ideologies that you would carry with you, to that other protocols could either learn from or that you think are the most important to the entire ecosystem of decentralization and the efficiency and effectiveness of these protocols? Kind of what are like some of the thoughts and ideologies you would bring to your own protocol or to Marc protocol?
Well, the first thing is that don't create a layer one, because that's a meme from 2017 and all the ghost chain will die eventually. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, right now there's like two actors. There's Bitcoin, the store of value, and Ethereum, the protocol of everything that you can build upon it. And basically don't create a layer one, because who cares about having to handle the mining and the consensus of your protocol? It doesn't make sense. Just build on Ethereum or use Bitcoin, whatever. And the second thing is that if it's a decentralized finance protocol, it's really important to emphasize on decentralized. And basically it makes no sense that you have a team that is in control of your protocol. Basically, our job at Aave and the Aave team, there's 22 of us. What will happen this month is that our only job is to submit ID, put them to vote, and then convert the vote into safe and audited code that can be implemented on the blockchain. And basically, we work for the Aave holders. We just here to transform what is decided from the governance into actual code and actual feature that people can use. And I think it's much more interesting like that, because there's only 22 of us, but if you check the land token holders, there's more than 160,000 as of today. So the amount of creativity and different point of view and the governance you can find from that is probably vastly superior of what we can do alone. And the other aspect is the synergy. It doesn't make sense to recreate everything. Focus on your core feature. If you need an Oracle, use Chainlink. If you need stablecoin swap, use Curve. Don't create your own. Just focus on something you are very good to do and do it. All the other stuff plug with the other. Because DeFi is probably the first time that you have an ecosystem where synergy are more interesting from a business side and from a development side and from a growth side than competition. It makes zero sense to actually be in competition into DeFi today, because our only job as DeFi actors is to grow the overall size of the pound. We are right now in a very small pound compared to traditional finance, and our job is to eat traditional finance, and we will do that over the years, and we will create protocols, we will create bridge, and we will create something and a whole ecosystem of financial service where you as a user are in full control of your money, because you should be the owner of your own money without third parties having to trust pay rent fees and commissions and whatever we have in the traditional finance.
So Marc, a little bit more on the being your own owner of your own money. I think we have one more question for you, and then Andrew's gonna start up a rapid fire round. So one thing our community wanted to hear was, picture yourself walking around and you head into an elevator and Jeff Bezos is in the elevator, or look up to your trillionaire, your billionaire of choice. What's your 1 minute pitch to pitch him on DeFi?
Well, there's no pitch because I don't like to share alpha. He's already rich. I'm here to make the other guys rich. So I will just watch my shoes and don't share like millions of dollar alpha with someone that doesn't need it. Fair enough.
Keep your alpha.
I don't know, man. You were helping me out with those YA link picks, man. That was some good information. Good information.
But you're not a trillionaire yet. When you get yourself like $100 billion, I will not help you anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it really is too early for some of those, huge investors, or are we working up to that? And, I guess that is a little bit more serious, but like, are we not there yet? What do we have to do until, people that are of that level are interested in DeFi?
Well, that's the good part about actually providing liquidity into DeFi protocol is that there's obviously there's limit to that. If you want to add $100 billion, there's not enough stable coins in the world to do that, but I'm sure USDT will just their way to get you that. But there's no actual limit or slippage. Like, for example, if you want to buy $10 billion of Bitcoin, you will just pump up the price like crazy, or same with Ethereum, even worse with Ethereum. But if you want to provide, let's say, $10 million of stablecoin into Aave, nothing particular happen. You just add more liquidity, so the interest rate goes down, but the market will reach equilibrium because it's suddenly cheaper to borrow on Aave, and that's it. And that's why more and more, and we saw that like over the past few weeks, that more and more institutional investors are so interested into DeFi because they can actually act as liquidity provider with sizable amounts, without being completely destroying the value of the protocol because they actually did too much slippage or whatever. So that's why you have protocol like 𝗰𝗶𝗴𝗵 that in 4 days reached like $300 million TVL, because you can actually do that. You can deposit $100 million into 𝗰𝗶𝗴 protocol and it will just work.
Yeah. So some of them are ready. There really is just a lack of knowledge out there for like a mass investing space. But it sounds for the most part.
That's one thing, and also the other thing is that they love DeFi, but it's very hard for an institutional investor or hedge funds or whatever to actually use DeFi, because when you have like $100 million under management into your risk part and you say, okay, let's go into Aave or into Compound or whatever, well, you don't want to put that $100 million into the hands of an employee with a ledger. That would be like what would happen. This is blockchain. The guy just needs to do a transfer to any address and nobody can take the money back from him. So even if he go 5 years into prison, that might be interesting for him. So basically, those kind of actors, they need custody and solution. Actually, custody wallets and all this kind of stuff. And those kind of actors are more and more adding DeFi services, but they are lagging a little bit. And most of them, for example, we have very few of them that are integrating Aave as of today. It will not be the case anymore in a few weeks because we are working actively on that, and that's basically the bottleneck for them. They want to provide liquidity, but they cannot do it in a very safe way that they are used to. Because we all want to be the owner of our own money and so on, and just have a ledger. But when you are using other people's funds as your job, as a fund, that's just not how things work.
Yeah, it's a bit different when using other people's funds. It's slightly more risk, just slightly. Great, Marc. Great. Well, look, we are about out of time. I'm going to bust up some quick questions, answering a sentence or two or a few words. If you don't want to answer, just say pass. No worries. All right, so this one's a yes or no. Aave top 10 in coin market cap by the end of 2020, yes or no?
That's conservative.
Okay. Price of Bitcoin by the end of 2020.
More than no.
How many Twitter followers will you have by the end of 2020?
I have
Prediction.
no idea how many followers I have right now. I don't care about that. I don't know.
I say over 10,000. I'm going with the over 9,000 meme, over 10,000.
Over 9,000. Yeah, that's a good one. Vegetal number.
Will 𝗹𝗶𝗴 ever beat price-wise in terms of Bitcoin? Will it ever be higher than Bitcoin?
Yeah.
𝗹𝗶𝗴.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. But not in terms of market cap, in terms of units.
Of the actual price. And the last thing is the Uniswap craze. Is it hype? Is it scammy? Is it legit? How do you feel about all the Uniswap craze?
It's not crazy. It's just the future of finance. So
there you is.
Yeah.
There you have it. That is Marc Zeller from Aave. Marc, it has been an absolute pleasure. This has been a great conversation. Learned quite a bit. Had some interesting points from all of us. And yeah, just FYI, guys, obviously, this is not any sort of financial advice. We're all here to spread the education and the awareness. Please do your own research. We did talk a lot about Aave and some other investment type stuff, but just please do your own research. And yeah, Rob.
Thanks, Marc, for coming out. I know I learned a lot, and I have some more things to check out. Hopefully we can do this again when Aave's in the top 10, conservatively.
I'll see you next week.
All right, Marc.
See you.
All right, Marc, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the DeFi by Design podcast. Until next time, DeFi Slate Team.